Should be good. Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let me saw the timer real quick.
What were you setting it for?
I was gonna set it for 15,
Okay, that's all right.
and then that gives me enough time to do the ending or whatever.
Yeah. Then you meet the minimum, but you don't necessarily have to do 5 minute closing.
Okay. So, hi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming today. My name's Noah. I am a social worker with the state of Indiana. And what's your name?
Peyton Marquette.
Peyton.
Peyton Marquette.
And you like to be called Peyton?
Peyton, yeah.
Right. Okay. So to begin with, before we get into the session, I have to go over confidentiality guidelines and informed consent. Excuse me. And what this is this means that I can't share any of the information that we talk about at all. Like, it's not going to leave this room whatsoever. And yeah, so I can't disclose to a third party unless you consent to it personally. And also, but there are exceptions, such as if I'm required by law and ethical standards, say for if you were to talk about harming someone else or yourself, like abuse or neglect, then I'd be required by law to tell the proper authorities. Or if I was to attend a hearing or legal proceedings, then I cannot guarantee that your information will be kept confident because of the legal stuff. So, sorry, I'm not a breath. You have any questions?
No.
No?
That makes sense.
Okay. So this meeting will last about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. And from what I understand, Peyton, you came in today for what?
I'm just experiencing a lot of pressure with school and kind of from family members and peers to do really well, but then on the other hand, I have like pretty low motivation, so I'm trying to.
Is that with school and stuff?
Yeah, so I'm trying to motivate myself, or I'm hoping that motivating myself will alleviate some of that stress and pressure.
Okay. All right. So we'll get into that and kind of explain some of the things that we'll do is that we'll outline what's going on with you and stuff about that subject. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So what else is going on with you besides your family and stuff having high expectations? Sounds like.
Yeah. I'm a student at IPY. And it's like finals time. Getting toward the end of the semester. I've taken 17 credit hours, and which is I think
17 credit hours.
Yeah. I'm a full-time student, so like I still live with my parents and I don't pay bills or anything like that. I have a job to pay for school, but I don't have to pay rent or anything like that, which is nice, and I think that helps a lot. I think that if I had to pay for rent and stuff, my life would look a lot different. But
Anyway.
But yeah, so it tends to get a little bit more stressful towards the end of the semester, just like finals coming up, and I don't have a lot of like final exams, but I have a lot of final papers.
Gotcha.
Stuff like that. So I'm trying to stay on top of it and do well, but also I feel like I don't really want to do it at all, to be honest.
So what I'm hearing is that you're really stressed out. Sounds like. Yeah. And you said it's mainly from school, but I also heard you talk about family stuff? Like what's going on at home?
So, I like my family's pretty picturesque. Obviously, nobody's perfect, but my parents are both happily married, and like I grew up in a safe, caring home. But it's very, um, the expectations are incredibly high. So like, um, I have to be like the minimum is straight A student, 4.0 GPA, that kind of stuff. Because I don't pay bills, so why would my grades
Slip, yeah.
slip? Like,
Right.
there's no reason for my grades to slip. So, that's just kind of the minimum, and I think that gives me some anxiety because I don't want to like let anyone down, and I don't want my parents to get upset with me if my grades slip. And so I get really stressed out on finals because a lot of them are so weighty. It's like you mess up one or fail one, you could fail the whole class. It really could change your grade a lot. And so I think that my parents being like, yeah, you have to get straight A's, or I mean, I don't know what they would do if I didn't. I've never had to find out, but it's definitely stressful knowing that's kind of a requirement, that's a minimum, and that finals are incredibly weighty.
So, have you talked to your parents about this, about how you felt at all?
I did try once a while ago. It did not go very well. It was not my first decision to go to college. I honestly didn't really want to go to college. I definitely didn't want to go to IPY.
Well, let's back up. So how long have you been in college?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you thought about studying anything else? I mean, that might pique your interest.
I actually just this year became a social work major, and so I have changed my major a lot to try and find something that I was really interested in to kind of help me get through school. I thought it would be easier to go to college if I was interested in it.
Right.
And so I started with psychology, which was fun, but I was kind of like, I don't know what I really want to do with this. Like, it's interesting, but what would I really do with this practically? And I didn't like any of that. I didn't want to work in a hospital, and I didn't want to. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of all of that. And so I switched to forensics.
Forensics.
Which was fun.
What'd that have to do with?
Literally nothing. I was just like, that's cool. I like that. It sounds interesting, but I took like maybe one class. I was like, no, this is not for me. It sounded interesting at first, and then I was like, this is actually kind of boring. So I went back to psychology and got my associate's degree in psychology. I thought I would, because I went to Ivy Tech first. So thought, oh, when I get to IUPUI, maybe I'll switch. But when I started at IUPUI, I was still with psychology. So I was like, well, I'm 2 years in, might as well commit. But then there was
so you are a transfer student.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I've only been at IUPUI. This is my second semester at IUPUI. But I thought, well, I don't really love psychology, and there was I can't remember who it was, but it wasn't someone from the school. I think it was one of my family friends. She was telling me about social work and all this stuff. She's not a social worker, but she works for DCS, so she has a lot of experience with social workers. And she was just talking about all this stuff, and I was like, that sounds fun. Like, I grew up in a church, and we did a lot of volunteering, and I always enjoyed the volunteering with kids. So when she was talking about like what they do for the kids, I was like, wow, that's really cool. So that kind of piqued my interest. And then so I switched my major to social work, which so far has been great. I really enjoyed it. It's very interesting. But yeah, when I was in high school, I wasn't planning on going to college.
Right.
I don't know what I was going to do, to be honest, but I hate school.
That's normal.
So I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I'll find someone else. Like I would have been happy to be a receptionist somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a detail-oriented person, so like to keep track of calendars and that kind of stuff. So that would have been fun for me. But
Okay. So it kind of sounds like you're trying to find your purpose.
yeah,
Almost. Is that
yeah,
maybe hit a bell?
yeah, I think so. Because I'm still not quite sure what I want to do exactly with social work. I know that I like it in general,
Mm.
and I like working with kids. So I think I would do something there, but still not sure exactly what.
Yeah, social work. It's definitely. I mean, it's a broad area of study.
Yeah, 100% for
So
sure.
there's a lot of directions you can go in. So yeah.
Which I
So
think is kind of what drew me toward it too. Like I wouldn't be really tied down to one thing necessarily. I could do several different things throughout my life if I was like, okay, I want to do this now.
well, it sounds like you have direction at least
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but it still kind of sounds like you're still kind of open to other stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
But but sounds like you definitely have a direction and you're heading in the right direction. Um, so going back to stress. So you were talking about um, stress and how it's the end of the semester. You got finals, papers going on. You're worried about that, and you're feeling the pressure from your parents, right? Um, is there anything else that you think that might be making you feel that way? Like the feeling pressure that you have to do good or reach a certain level.
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I think just because I grew up in an environment where like the doing the best was kind of like the expectation, like always having good grades and like achieving at work, getting promotions. Like I'm only a server, but like being the best there, that kind of thing was like what my parents expected from us, which I feel like I'm thankful for in some sense, just because I do feel like I have a good work ethic now, even though sometimes the motivation to do work at all is really not there. But I do feel like on average I have a good work ethic because that was always the minimum. But I also think I put a lot of pressure on myself too now, just because that's what I believe now, because that's how I grew up. That's what I grew up hearing, like this is the minimum, this is what we expect from you. So now I kind of tell that to myself, like, oh, this is the minimum, this is what I expect from myself. So I think some of that pressure and some of that stress definitely comes from me a lot of the time.
So there's nothing like that's recently happened that make you feel this way at all, or
no, to be honest, I think every semester toward finals,
you feel this way?
it's the same thing. I'm just like not really sure how to change that, to be honest.
Okay, so what are some things just kind of off your head you can think of that you could do to lessen stress during the end of the semester? Just some ideas you can think of.
I think ideally I could be like easier on myself about expectations, and I have started to like talk to my parents less about my grades and about, because now that I'm out of high school, they don't have access to my grades. So even though I'm still a straight A student and still strive for that, I think that talking to them less about it, there's less pressure to get that grades. And I think I probably need to be easier on myself about it and understand that it's okay to like take breaks, and if I do get a bad grade, that's not always going to be the case, or like I can come back from a bad grade. It's not like
it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. I definitely need to. I think it would help rather my stress.
Well, that's another way too that people, kind of find their purpose or find their direction just by making mistakes. or failing at stuff, you know, because you can't really succeed until you fail some things. So, yeah, so definitely. Yeah. So, you said that some things you can do is, well, one thing you're doing is not telling your parents about your grades, right? So kind of keeping them kind of halfway in the loop seems like helps a little bit. What are some things that, okay, I'm sorry, timer just went off for 15 minutes. Okay, so we are at the end of the session. Okay. Um, now let's go over when I see you next time. Is there some things that maybe you think you could work on until
maybe
if we schedule something for next week or something like that? Is there anything like you think of you might be able to work on?
Probably taking breaks.
Taking breaks. Okay, that's good. Okay. All right. So so we'll set some up for next week. If that's okay with you.
Yep.
And then we'll look back into how you're feeling with stress and how you're doing with taking breaks and stuff like that. So do you have any questions for me at all? Any feedback for me at all?
No.
Could I do anything better? Or...
I think it was helpful.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, appreciate that. Okay, that's it. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.